to be discussing the whole Unity thing. So I'll let Robin sort of do all the talking here because he's the expert at this sort of stuff. So yeah, go ahead and take it away, Robin, man.
Hello. Well, I guess we should start with talking about the whole Unity thing in general, because not everybody is up to speed on that or even understand what's going on. But basically, Unity has made some changes to their monetization scheme where they are changing it to where they have a revenue cap, which they've always had. But they've also added another factor, which is once you reach a certain revenue limit, which is around, I think it's $200,000 in the last 12 months, and you also get a certain amount of installs on your game or your app or whatever you've made with Unity, then you have to start paying per additional install, which is a questionable change at best, because it's it's not really enforceable on their end. Nothing makes any sense. Like, are they gonna be installing like malware on everybody's computers and stuff like that? That's just gonna send user info. It's like probably not even legal in Europe with the GDPR and stuff, and data, all the new data laws that they've got there. But in reality, this is like the actual monetization change is a very minor issue, because in reality it wouldn't really affect us for quite some time. And it would really only affect a small amount of scenarios. Like if you release a mobile game and you have like a free-to-play mobile game or a free-to-play Steam game, and you are, because they make a lot of money, but they also have absolutely absurd amounts of install counts as well because they're free, right? So those games more or less potentially go in debt because of this change. But that wouldn't really be the case for a game where you are just, you pay full price and then you just install it. So the issue here is rather the future of Unity, because if you're working with Unity as an engine and you're basing your product and the future of your company on their product, and their company looks like it's about to implode, it's probably not the best grounds to build your own base on. So they're showing quite a lot of you know issues on other sides. They've made a lot of questionable choices in the past as well, and if you look at their revenue, from what I've seen at least, it looks like they had like, I think they lost like $1 billion or something last year. I don't know if that is accurate. I think it was like 900,000 or $900 million or something like that. They're losing insane amounts of money, and they also have an insane amount of employees compared to Unreal, for example, who they have like 3,400, while Unity has 7,400 plus or something. So the future of Unity looks extremely shaky. And because of that, we've also had to question, does it make sense to keep using the Unity engine? And I think the conclusion we've reached is that no, it doesn't really make sense. Because, yeah. So we've been talking about, where to go from here. And it's still I would say it's still a little bit up in the air. I still need to go around and do some research, but we have definitely decided to move on from Unity. But there are a lot of options. You can go with Unreal, you can go with Godot, you can go with whatever, but I've tried using Unreal before, and personally, while I do think it's a great 3D engine, I don't really think it makes perfect sense for us, um, because we have a lot of custom stuff, and Unreal is more about their tech and making good use of that compared to just ripping out the engine and putting stuff in yourself. There's also Godot, but I I've looked at it and I don't really like the approach that they have. It feels more like they're focusing a bit too much on making it easy to use for new developers and new programmers, and that's not really what I'm looking for. Because it just feels like everything that they're doing to make things easy is just kind of getting in the way instead. They have their own programming language, they have their own shader programming language, and it just feels like a little bit of a waste to not use like a real language. I know you can do that with Godot, but it also says on their front page that they recommend not doing that. So I'm not really sure. So what I've been looking at mainly is actually dipping into Rust, the Rust language. It's a relatively new language. Like I mean, it's not, but it is relative to like C++ or C or Um, but it's also very different, right? Because the game is currently programmed in Unity, which uses C sharp, and Rust is very different from the C sharp language. So I have to do some, I have to figure out Rust a little bit and see how it works to really be able to gauge how much sense it makes to move over to Rust. Rust also has a lot of engines for it. Like it has Bevy. There's some other engines called. There's one engine called Amethyst. There's one engine called Piston that I've looked at a little bit, and I don't really need them to do that much. Like I mainly just need them to let me handle keyboard inputs and gamepad inputs and render to the screen, handle windows and stuff like that. So I don't really need anything super advanced like Unreal or in reality Unity. So, but Rapier asks, is the end plan still to make your own engine? Yeah, yeah, it is. I mean, even when we were working in Unity, that was my goal. Um, I was kind of aiming towards not using Unity in the long run in the first place. So a lot of the things that I've been programming aren't like they're not really tied to Unity, uh, or it's not tied to like their components and their built-in stuff that much. So it was honestly always kind of the plan to move away from Unity eventually, but Unity kind of accelerated those plans, I guess. Now, I'm still going to keep working in Unity because I don't plan to stop the progress on the game where it is. Like I'm still going to keep doing what I've been doing, and I'm just gonna have to put in extra time, right? Because I've been meaning to learn Rust anyway to see how how that works for development. And it seems like a very promising up and coming language for game development, especially compared to C++. Because if I have to choose between learning Rust and learning C++ from scratch, I think from what everyone has ever told me about C++, I think going that way is probably a bad idea. So yeah, I'm not sure if there's anything I missed talking about.
When it comes down to it, I believe there was you talked about switching over the engines. Something on the tip of my tongue, but I can't quite remember it. I don't remember being particularly big. Oh, yes, now I remember. The plans. So going forward, right, we've worked a lot on this game and we've made a lot of progress. We got the renderer, the shader, the combat prototype is on the horizon, and the inevitable prologue is comes after that. So the actual construction and building of the actual game itself. Now, chat probably doesn't know like what's the plan. Are we gonna keep working on the combat prototype? Are we gonna work on the prologue, or are we going to switch engines and then probably an approximate estimate, like longest, assume the worst case scenario, because that's normally the best case scenario for a lot of these things.
Yeah, like I said, I'm planning on just working on like continuing just working in Unity to finish the combat prototype. So we're not gonna push that back at all. I'm just gonna keep making it, and on the side, I'm gonna start figuring out where to move the engine as we move forward. But I'm not planning on, just halting production and just sitting there trying to port the engine to another language or anything like that. But rather, I'm gonna do that on the side, on the weekends, in the evenings and stuff.
Yep, start doing
So
the
it's gonna
groundwork.
it's gonna be a lot of work for me, but I've been meaning to learn Rust anyway. So um, because we still like it's not just for for everybody who's waiting to see more of the game. We internally we also both want and see you know more of the game because it helps a lot to be able to see and play the game, even if it's just a test build for everybody who's working on it. Like for Robert to get a feel for what the music should be like, for Carlos and Sala to get an idea for the designing levels and all of that. So it's still important to get that to a playable stage, and it's not that far away. Like I'm working on it every day, and like you can already for those who haven't dropped by my streams and looked at the progress, it's actually playable now. Like you can place units and they have abilities, they can attack each other, they can die, they can play animations, you can cast spells, you can buff yourself, you can apply bleeds and status effects to enemies. Certain attacks have like special conditional bonus damage depending on what's happening with the enemy, and um, I'm implementing more and more uh, rendering functionality, like spell effects having counting as a light source, so you can cast a spell casts light as well on the world. So there's a lot of progress going on. There are a lot of bugs as well, so that's a there are a lot of rendering bugs that kind of make it you know whenever I see something like that, I kind of don't really want to make videos and post it, but um, it is definitely moving forward, and we're gonna keep moving forward
Yep, I
as
think
well.
we've definitely made a lot of progress. So a while back, Robin said that will come a point when we're finally done with the renderer and shader that the progress is going to go so fast it'll make your head spin. And I think we're starting to see that, especially with the state of the combat prototype, the mechanical function. I mean, just the other day, the implementation of the tooltip system, different no, I don't know if they're actually implemented, but like the different armors, like light and medium, and all the
Hmm.
various things and tooltips, and the ability to see that, as well as the map starting to project the where you can move, but doesn't factor in for obstructions yet. Like
Hmm.
we're definitely making some serious ground, and that's I think a lot of the thing where we don't really want to abandon Unity right away because we're on the precipice of actually putting together the combat prototype. Because well, I know a lot of people in the audience are probably very excited to see it too. You got to know that you got to like the entire dev team is even that, but more so. We've been working for a couple of years now, very hard on trying to get this to all come together, and the fact that we're actually getting it there is the big part. Oh, go ahead.
Nathan donates 4.99 GBPs.
British.
Sounds dramatic, but my heart kind of broke for you, Robert. My name's Robin.
Robert's our composer. Robin's our programmer.
I remember the Unity news coming out, and then remembering all those streams you did. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. I mean, it's not fun. Like, it's not like this is what we wanted, right? Like nobody wanted this, so it sucks. There's no two ways around that. Because
Yep.
I actually like Unity as an engine. Like I quite like it a lot. Working in C# is really easy. Like it's one of the most it's one of the best languages in my opinion when it comes to just being able to do things and it makes sense. Like you can go to other languages like Python or whatever that people like I always see people talk about Python being like easy and whatever, but they've gone too far in my opinion. Like it's some of these languages that are supposed to be like easy languages, they've gone too far to the point where you don't even use brackets or parentheses or anything like that anymore, and it's just too far. While C# is at this point where it's advanced enough but also simple enough that you can do whatever you want, but it doesn't feel like you're like using a baby language. But the issue with C# is also that it's automatically managed when it comes to garbage collection, and nobody knows what that means, including myself, like barely. But what that means is that basically when if we have like a character in combat, and when we kill that character, we then like delete the character basically from the code. Um, it has to basically collect all the references and everything that's no longer in use and dispose of them. And if you're this is like the main crux when it comes to C# and game development for because if you don't manage this properly, the system can end up collecting too much in one go, and that's when you get like weird, random lag spikes out of nowhere and stuff like that. So I'm really sad to leave it behind, but at the same time, in reality, it's like probably not the ideal language to use in the first place. Um, Rapier's, what did Rapier say before?
What we
He
tried line
said,
C or a little bit earlier.
no, it was.
He said I looked at Godot. It did say it works fine with C++. That was
Yeah,
that. I'm
no,
just scrolling through.
Godot does work with various languages. It even works with Rust, but I just don't know. Um, I don't know how much you lose out on not using their own language. For one, like it might still be an option. I'll keep it in mind, but the fact that they're using their own languages for that and for especially for shaders is a big problem for me. But yeah, it's not like C++ is a bad language. It's just from most people I've ever talked to, they're like, yeah, if you wanna delve into C++, it's gonna be 10 years before you like you properly understand it. I don't know if that's an exaggeration, but
Also, new when it comes because I see a couple people saying it, and I'm assuming it's a joke. But RPG Maker is not an option for engines.
no. Well, see, the thing is with these large proprietary engines is also that like Unreal and well, I don't think no, Godot is free, but like Unreal has you do have to pay them money eventually as well, so that is also a factor. But um, when it comes to game engines, there comes a certain point where the engine already has everything that it needs, or that I need rather, because I don't really need that much. I need the engine to handle more basic things, like window management, just putting whatever I have on the screen, handling keyboard input, handling mouse and gamepad input and stuff like that, handling the audio. But after that, you start getting into like this phase of engines where they're just like developing functions, like they're developing buttons, they're developing terrain systems, and they're developing, this and that, physics systems. And so an engine being like big and having graphical user interfaces and stuff isn't necessarily like that important, um, unless you like you're starting out. Then it helps a lot because it makes things a lot easier to understand. And I don't really think that it's something that we need anymore.
Yeah.
I'm just looking if there are any more questions that I missed.
By the way, Chad, if you do have any questions about the engine switch, I think somebody might just have missed it, but I do see somebody asking about the. This is always fun. The estimated time of arrival, in terms of how long it would take to switch the engine, not about the combat prototype or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. To be frank, I have no idea.
Yep. There's the unfortunate reality is it could be easy for something, and then something could be a snare. Like, I'm not an expert, but when I've seen Program Maker render and shader, he'll be making excellent progress and exceeding like his previous estimate, and then right at the last hurdle there'll be something there that makes it take even longer than the longest estimate.
The shader is, you know, the word shader is a little bit ambiguous. Most people don't really understand what it is, but it when I say the shader, it's literally how we render our game. I just like feed in a sprite and like a position into like this big ass script, and then it just renders the world and the whatever character it's rendering right now to a texture, and then I put it on the screen, right? And the shader is written in a different language. It's written in HLSL, which stands for High Level Shader Language.
Hmm?
And it's not bound to Unity. So HLSL is something you can use in other engines as well. So because of that, all that code is pretty much already, more or less good to go. It's just that I do want to convert it to work with Vulkan so that you know, we have support for Linux as well in the long run. But they're pretty similar. So there's not that much of a difference between, like, it already works in Vulkan. When in Unity you can just switch it over and it just runs it in Vulkan instead. So I don't even know if I need to do anything there. And that is like the biggest portion of the work. So the rest is kind of just figuring out how to structure things, in a new language. Um, so until I know that, like, I can't really estimate. Um, but the thing about programming also is that it's not just necessarily about the code. It's also about just problem solving. So that's why I don't really feel like it's that much of a waste to keep working in Unity, because even if I'm gonna have to, translate it to another language later, I'm still nailing down, the logic of the game and how things work. And once that is all, more finished, it'll be a lot easier to actually, do that in another engine further down the line, because it's basically just, copying your homework, more or less.
Rather than trying to figure out how everything worked. That's why a
Yeah.
lot of the combat prototype stuff and all the stuff is super essential. It's also why we don't want to stop the progress, because right now we are making pretty good grounds. Like if you've watched Robin's stream chat, like if you can have we can have a combat encounter now. You can play it out to its conclusion. There's fighting, there's spells. Again, there's still a lot more systems to implement, and yes, there's more characters needing to be implemented, but by and large, a lot of the major systems are being included, and so eventually, if we keep up our current rate, we're going to have a pretty decent shot at actually making the combat build in a nice, presentable state, so that we can, stream it to you guys at some point, so you can actually see more so. Because we've talked about it a lot, and it's easy to talk, and it's harder to understand and actually know, even from talking, even if you're really good at descriptors, because somebody's always going to not quite get the picture. This is going to be a big game changer for us, because now people will actually see for themselves what the game is about when it comes to its combat system and how it works. And I think everybody on the team, when we had the meeting yesterday, was pretty much on the line of like wanting to see this at least get into a tangible state, because a lot of people have been working very hard, like Robert, the art team, and everyone really. And the idea of just stopping production to switch engines was just something that I think, just morale wise, I don't think any of us were ready to really do. The Unity thing happening is unfortunate, but at the end of the day, it was going to happen anyways. It's all about keeping up the workflow.
Yeah, pretty much. Holtzinator donates $4.99 dues. Asks, so what is Vulkan besides something that makes it so I can't play a game because my 2 graphics card setup messes with it? Well, I don't know about your SLI or whatever setup, but Vulkan it's literally DirectX, except it's not proprietary, meaning it's because DirectX being proprietary means that that's why you can't use it on Linux or any other operating system, because it's Microsoft's, so they control who can use it and where, which means it's for Windows and Xbox, and it's really just a way for the computer to interface with the graphics card and render things on the screen. And Vulkan does pretty much exactly the same thing that DirectX does. It doesn't mean that we won't be able to support DirectX. Like, most of the time you can do both. You can have a little drop down that selects DirectX or Vulkan. I just want to be able to support both.
We've always kind of had that mentality, even when it comes to how the players, play the game. The ability to use the gamepad, the ability to use the mouse and keyboard, and to seamlessly swap between the two.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. They're pretty similar, so
it's all about the user's tailorable experience at the end of the day.
Rapier says, "Did you get my question or did I miss the answer? Which question was that?"
Oh, crabbity crickets. Also, Artemis donates $2. Say why? Well, rewind the stream and put it to times 2. Say, gosh darn it, I don't want to do that. Thank you for the donation. Rapier, how much more work do you think you need to do for your own engine? Like, how much work has gone towards that so far?
Well, pretty much all of it. Like, the term, game engine is very ambiguous as well. In reality, like, eh, any code that is a game is the game engine. That's just how it is, really. So all of it really. And like I said, I've avoided using Unity stuff in general because I didn't really like the way their components and their rendering and stuff worked. So all of that is pretty custom already. So in reality, there are very few things that I'm still tied to when it comes to Unity. Um, and that's like their UI system. But even that is very simple, and pretty much every other engine already has that that you can use instead. So it's not really that big of a deal, I think. I'm not really concerned, to be honest, overall. Like,
Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna keep working at the same pace that I have this whole time, and I'm just gonna explore, you know, the best way to go from here on the side. So I don't really expect progress to really halt at all, to be honest. So
Well, yeah. I mean, we've been on a pretty steady thing. The big before I get into that topic, Cyber Tantrum donates $100 for some ungod known reason to prove Reguline right and me wrong that people would donate a lot this stream. I didn't reset the dono counters because I wouldn't expect that this would happen, but I guess I was wrong. Funny dono bum, head pats for Robin and the team. Continue your good work. Also, Kib is a whammon, which is also blatantly false. He says hashtag sock fund. We're getting hashtags this stream as well. Okay. Thank you for the donation. Artemis then donates $2 to say, why 9 in the morning? Well, you see, Robin lives in a Swedistan, and it is a very different time zone over there. So it's actually easier to do this earlier than it is to do it later in the day.
Ultimately, getting your own engine is the best outcome. Can't get fucked over by the engine developer later then. Lol. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was the goal all along.
Yes.
So we're
that and the fact
kind
that
of just
having
working
our own
towards that.
engine is just, it allows for a lot more freedom in that sense because you're not bound to anyone else, so to speak, and what they do with their engine.
Yeah, exactly.
That will be the ideal situation. Once we have our own engine, we can also explore new possibilities, things that we hadn't quite yet considered, but topics for a future date, I'm sure. Rapid Kamigawa donates to say, thanks for answering my question. That's all I had. Thank you for your donation. I didn't expect to get donos in the stream. Because we were going to answer pretty much, all you have to do is tag at the Bickering Bunch, and we're going to probably answer, because this isn't really meant to be a dono stream, it's more so to answer any questions if chat has any questions about the progress of the game or if how this hinders it, because it does play a part, but when it comes to the combat prototype, not so much. Now, the one thing that will be up for discussion again later, even though it sounded like we were probably going to do it anyways, but if, let's say, Robin, finds a suitable engine and Rust turns out to be everything we're looking for, and we actually begin switching over to that, we'll finish the combat prototype and then probably switch. We'll make the prototype, combat prototype, pretty good. It depends on how much time it takes to switch, and if we can continue working on the side. But the prologue will be the next target for the other parts of the team because we have all hands on deck with that. So you'll also be seeing a lot more of that. I think internally we've sort of decided to release a bit more about the prologue. Originally, the prologue was supposed to be like not really showing anything, but then this Unity thing happened, and so we sort of changed what we were going to do there. So we're going to start releasing a bit more information, but what we're probably going to do is tag things as spoiler related. So if you do not want to know that stuff, you will simply just do not click on the tag. We will give it a proper tag and proper sensors. So that goes for the Discord server when we start showing stuff, because while the Terrestria War tabletop team is making excellent progress, the game team we can't show too much because our hands are sort of tied. So we need to start revealing some aspects of gameplay, not really focusing on the story, more so focusing on the actual gameplay, if you will, or the intended idea of behind the prologue. Artemis donates to LSA. Robin is a boomer, attacking our programmer. How cruel, how heartless. McCurt donates 25 Polish bucks. Say, game run better on Portion than native on Linux. Proton. My eyes don't work. You can ignore Vulkan for Linux. Was a suggestion. And thank you for your donation.
Well, there's no reason to ignore Vulkan. Vulkan is actually pretty good. So, and like I said, it's not really that different from DirectX. So there's almost no work in supporting both.
Jeff D donates $2. Say, what are the odds this essentially kills Unity? Question mark.
I think it's pretty big. That's why we're failing.
Yeah, it's at the point now where I think we're like, if we had to run we don't know exactly what's going on inside. We just know it's leaking what everyone else knows. But they maybe have a year. Maybe more. But at the rate a lot of the studios are jumping ship, like there are so many people jumping ship. We're not the only one abandoning the sinking ship.
Oh no, like the Unity Discord server, they've made like 4 different channels at this point for talking about this, and it's just a total mess. It's just constant. Everybody's just shitting on it.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
it
bad.
Just makes no sense.
Just Norio asks, I remember you mentioning that y'all made an in-engine editor for building the game's environments. Will you have to recreate it in a new engine? He's talking about a level editor.
Well, yeah, but it's really just part of the game code, so like it's not that big of a deal. As long as I just figure out how to start translating everything to another language, it'll just be a part of that. So I don't know. I'll have to see, how much work it ends up being, but I was right about Unity. Kibbs was wrong.
He is pulling,
well,
he's gaslighting. Like, I said, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day to him. He's taking things out of context. He does all the time. We were always going to end up having our own engine at the end of the day, but we need to get off of Unity before Unity does its full sync.
Yeah, no. I think it's fine.
Before we move on past that, Possum Toys $2 say money. Thank you for the money.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, okay. Carlos wants to show off some stuff too. I guess we'll pull that up on stream. Willing to show some work. Carlos is actually working on the level design, but how late am I, Mr. Kibbs? Well, Deet, approximately 30 plus minutes late, if I'm to believe what I'm seeing here.
When the heck are you gonna fix this animation, dude? It's lagging so bad.
Okay, I can explain why it lags. Listen to me. This animation I made in, what was it, After Effects as like a quick thing. The issue is when I exported it back. It's basically like, well, preserve all the quality. I don't want it to look shitty. And because I did that, it actually lags sometimes. Now, sometimes it runs perfectly fine, but the issue is it has to pre-render itself because the file is like 100 gigabytes.
Yeah, just fix it.
I just don't have. I don't care enough to fix it. It's meant to cover my screen for just a hot second while I fix it. I'm gonna get a better animation. Have someone else do it. That's what I get for making my own thing. I break it. Oh well. Listen, chat. It's fine. It just because it lags to death, and just so it happens to lag to death when Robin's noticing it. My Christ. All right, hold on.
Oh, it says Kibbs.
You're turning into Albine, Carlos. Ooh, that's gonna upset him. That's gonna upset him a lot.
What the fuck? Why is he saying what the fuck?
What the fuck? Because he's a little Carlos. I don't know. Well, because Sharon said what? Maybe I don't know. Gibbs, how can fail that bad? Well, how can type bad? He's like, ooh. All right, we need to cover the screen with what was it? This thing? No. This thing? No. Chad, I kind of forget what I'm doing. Picture. There. Then right click and we click Stretch to screen. Actually, I don't know if that's a good idea. Fit to screen. Yeah, because I figured the dimensions weren't 100%. Look, you can kind of see of a level sketch. Just like, well. Yeah, the level design is actually coming along quite fucking nicely. Carlos is doing a fantastic job with it. I'm actually quite impressed. We're probably going to show off some of the level design when it comes to not the environmental storytelling parts. So we'll have to censor bits. But the tree is not a bad one. Like how they're, after you left, they were obsessing over designing the tree inside the building. I love the tree. You know how Salah gets when he gets all spurgy. Gosh darn it. Those little chatfish. All right. Before we move on too much, D at the end. Oh, okay, no, we caught up. We're caught up. Making sure that we're not missing any supers. D donates $3 then, real quickly. Say, how often do each of you think of Rome? Oh my god. I've already heard this stupid thing from Pancake when she randomly asked me the same dumb question. And the reality is not anymore, actually. Not anymore. My Rome craze days of learning about Rome are kind of over now that I've completed the story, so to speak. It's like beating a game. It's like I moved on to the next thing. What arc am I on now? We finished Nazi Germany. I don't really know.
I'm on my China arc.
You're on your China. China's got a long empire arc when it comes to their story. Like it's huge. I'm kind of bouncing around right now. There's no real empire I'm dedicated to learning about right now. Halsey donates $2 to say, Kibs, Empire Earth today or next Sunday? We'll try to do it today, but I cannot do it without hands. We did test it. It does work with Game Ranger, and yes, we're using Game Ranger of all things. That's pretty ancient, but it works. So, you know, it's good. Oh god, China arc is great. Love it, says Simper Tantrum. He is on his China arc. He's been recommending a lot of good Chinese shows. Do you have any good Chinese shows to recommend to chat? They need to be enlightened.
I only know 3 Chinese shows that I actually thought were good. First one is Three Kingdoms. The second one is called The Advisors Alliance, which is basically the second half of Three Kingdoms and covers more of Sima Ji. And then there's another one called I think it's called The Yellow River. It was about taming the Yellow River, the Yangtze River, I think, and it was also just a pretty nice, because it was kind of similar to Three Kingdoms. It was revolving around the court and stuff like that, but it's pretty much just court drama, all of it. So.
Mm-hmm. Gosh darn, chat. The heck, you're supposed to donate in the next stream. You're gonna burn yourself dry. You're gonna suck yourself dry. They donate 20 Donkey Kong bucks to say, I think Rome whenever I see a big booba gorth, says Garbwire. Remember, he can't type because he's dyslexic. I think of Rome whenever I see a big booba goth. There, I translated it. That one was easy for a change. Was there a Streamlabs? There was. 14 minutes ago, squealing to put into the tracker. $100 funny from Semper Tantrum for hashtag sock fund. Yeah, because my little trackers, my little helpers can't see the Streamlabs stuff, so I have to make sure that they get that. Chinese history boils down to someone gained power, 1 million dead. 1 million. Yes, and Gunfox donates $90, say 3 bucket fish for 3 random chatters. Are you pre-ordering bucket fish when I said don't pre-order any more of them, you little son of... Thank you. Write that down, Reguline, and don't let Alucard see that. Okay, we're going to keep that under wraps. We're going to pretend that these donations are new. Also, wasn't it? That's right. I can't believe we charge so cheap for those. We probably could get away with charging double. Just like, what the fuck is greedy? Fucking Kiwi toys.
Greedy bastard. Greedy fat bastard.
Road. Actually, I lose quite a bit because I eat with a loss on the transfer fees. Viking Kiwi donates 20 North Korean bucks to say, okay, I'll save my money for next stream. Will you be there, Kiwi? Say, no. Thank you for your donation. Jan donates 10 post bucks, say, haha, throw money at Kibbs. He make funny noise. I mean, hey, keeps Robin fed, so I think Robin's okay with that.
I am.
Give nearly as
much.
greedy as Unity. Oh, wow. Rude. Listen, we got to keep people fed over here. Unlike Unity, our employees actually do something. Because I guarantee you that 7,000 employees, they're not doing their jobs. How can
That's a lot of employees.
How can a company employ 7,000 people and only be working on an engine? It's ridiculous.
I don't know.
Ridiculous.
To me, that just comes off as, extracting money from the company. That seems to be a very popular trend in Silicon Valley type companies nowadays, or tech companies.
Hiring all their friends. We saw that with Twitter when we learned what was happening on the inside of Twitter. And now that we know what happened there, like, it looks like Unity is actually repeating the exact same thing.
It's pretty common. Like, every time you see these companies that have like slides in their workspace, and they've got like boba tea restaurants and playgrounds, etc., and they work like 4 hours a day. That's what's happening. Like, they're just giving away the money to people pretty much, because they're planning on dumping the company anyway.
My goodness.
They're just using up whatever funds are still in there.
Yep, and then they move on to the next one.
Who is the co-host? It is me, Le Robin.
Le Robinski. He's like, don't do that. People don't know who I am when you keep adding the dumb part. Robin is linked on our channel homepage at the bottom. He's the little pixel artist with the sunglasses. I'm assuming you haven't changed your profile.
Nope.
Cover.
Yeah, you can find me on twitch.tv/cashew, or on YouTube. My username is just RobinGaming88.
Yep. He's also you were streaming our game code, if I remember right, when I was working on setting up the stream this morning.
Yeah. I stream the programming part of development every day, pretty much.
Yep.
Unless I happen to be ill for whatever reason. So yeah, you can always find me there, and you can see what's going on. If you have any questions about programming or game development, or anything really, you can come hang out, or just
say hi.
Also, if you have any questions, feel free to poke me in the Astrian Conclave, or DM me. I'm at the top. I'm called Robin.
He's an admin, yes. So you'll find him at the top of the ranks. Generally, the dev team members are higher up on the echelon, mostly so that they're easier to find for me.
Yeah.
Fire donates 50. Donkey Kong say, I like this sturm before time. It's before dinner and not after bedtime. For one's more mun-muns, for better times and more chatfish. Thank you for your generous donation. We've almost made today's
Donkey Kong.
I think we've reached our daily quota this morning. Oh my god. We need to have more developer streams. It'd fund the game. We could just talk about the game, actually. It turns out playing other games was a waste of time. Does that mean we get one wiggly fish on Aerith? Well, you get one wiggly fish on the UI, is what it... I want to point out that those wiggly fish I put on the UI were not meant for that, by the way. I just did it once, and then I noticed that chat really liked it, and then I charged them to have it stay on there. I'm a terrible person. But it keeps the studio funded, so it works. So Robin is working on the actual animated UI. By the way, chat, you are responsible for Robin's suffering. I'm going to blame you. That waterfall, Robin, is on them, not me. Or Carlos.
I still blame you.
It's not my fault. You
Oh, well, I do blame Carlos as well. Yeah,
he threw the
absolutely.
water. I was not my suggestion. I was like, we could have like water running down the chat, and it just sort of disappears off the screen. And then Carl's like, but what if waterfall flow and splash around on screen? And then Robin died. So he animated it. That's probably what's gonna take that thing so long to animate. If I had to.
Yes. Yeah.
Stupid
Absolutely.
water. I tried to get Robin to be like, we could just make like poosh, like floofy little mist water bubbles or whatever, like so you can cover it up. But Mr. Perfect over here,
It's not that easy to just make little poof clouds.
I mean, you could just do it. It would look a little bit, skimpy, but wouldn't be working on it for so long. Oh, he might strangle me if we ever meet up in real life, chat. This is also your fault, chat. You wanted this thing. I'm testing his limits, Scarless. You're gonna get him to kill you. It's like that time when I met him and we were like, oh, dude, we got like, so what are the things you don't like to animate? Well, smoke, fire, water, and it's like, ooh, like, flowing fabric. It's just like flowing fabric is like the core tenet of Astrid and the stuff. It's, ooh, just all
Yeah,
the
anything
wrong
that's
things.
amorphous is really terrible to animate. It's
Whoops.
anything else is fine, but like amorphous shit is just holy crap.
Oh my God.
Do you feel exploited? You have no idea.
Do you chat, please donate more so we can pay Robin more. I feel bad about it every day. I have a hard time sleeping from the guilt.
Good.
Robin haunts my dreams. When he first started working for us, I bet he was, yeah, this will be easy, right? It's just gonna be an easy little RPG. Here we are with this ambitious project. It ain't easy being cheesy. All right, Garbar dies 50 Donkey Kongs to say. Well, they're Danish kroners, but I can't figure what the other K is for, so I just make it up, okay? Like, can't be Danish king kroners? I don't know, kingdom kroners?
No, it's just kroners. It's
Why
KR
Ks?
stands for kroners.
But that's KK.
There are no what?
Yeah, DKK. It says DKK.
No, it says DKR.
On my screen it says DKK.
Well, your screen sucks.
Your screen, chat. It says DKK for you when he does that. The more time the game takes to make, the longer we, the chatfish, have to working on making Kib a full cat girl. More time is better for us. Wow, that was actually incredibly well written for a change, Garwire. I'm gonna. Did you spend all time doing that? Slowly typing? Must make sure Garwire type normally. Thank you for your donation. We just bully him. It just sort of happens. He makes it easy. Also, former Ghost has become a disciple of Squeak. Thank you for the membership. Really appreciate it, Ghost. You know, you've been fairly treasonous as of late, which is inexcusable for a chatfish. And see, look, they all say DKK. Possum donates $2 say how much to add more waterfalls. Oh my God. Chat, we've only funded a portion of the overlay. If you want, we can raise more if we reach our extended quota this week.
$1 million.
Yeah, no, you're not letting you determine the never gonna reach that one. $5. Kidding. You can have $1 of that, Robin.
Oh, thank you.
I can't be exploited. He just sort of accepted it. Give dyslexic confirmed. I'm not dyslexic. I'm just not wearing my glasses. Donate kibble
Just
to
blind.
kids. Basically, yes. So, like, the reason why I have a hard time reading on screen chat is because I take off my glasses for the VTuber stupid model thing. And because I take off my glasses so I can track my face and eyes better, like, I can't really see. My vision's getting worse. And so, like, I can, like, the left far part of the screens, like, it gets difficult to read, okay? You can't judge me. I'm a cripple. You gotta feel bad for me. Millennium Hawk donates 25 Romanian bucks to say, for Robin's coffee, so he can avoid sleep. Thank you for the donation.
Thank you.
You're not allowed to
I
drink
don't
coffee.
want to avoid sleep at all, though. But...
he really needs to sleep, though. If Robin dies, chat, we're in deep shit, so you can't kill him. Oh my goodness gracious. Whoa, it does say DKK. It used to say DKR before I changed my phone to English. See, I told you. DKK is better. That money symbol looks like an F wearing clown shoes. What? Is it like Florence or something? Get contacts or ditch the model then. I ditched the model. That's $1,000 plus asset that I just throw away because I can't read very well. Like, and then, oh my god, that'd be so stupid. I would lose
Just
so
put
much
glasses
money.
on Eric.
Yeah, that'll help me somehow. No sleep, says Viking Kiwi for 20 crores. He's Norwegian. He doesn't like Swedish people. He wants to die. He wants you to
I understand.
understand.
I don't think about Norway at all.
I don't think he forget they exist. I was like, I don't know, some backwater
Now,
place.
Denmark, however, I hate them. I think about them all the time. Makes me see them.
Denmark. Why do you guys hate Denmark? Like every Scandinavian, like all Norwegians and Swedish people, they make
They
fun of
can't
each other.
speak.
They hate Danish people the most.
They can't talk. They sound really weird.
A Norwegian person once sent me this clip of like two Danish people trying to talk to each other and they couldn't communicate. And it was really awkward. And it was kind of funny because I actually got some of the humor. But I couldn't understand them. Rapier Gummy got nice $2. Throws money. Well,
Thank you,
for
Rapier.
Junction. Norway's just a part of Greater Sweden. There you go. Return of the Swedish Empire. Look at Robin sitting over there quiet, putting on his little crown.
But I think maybe time to start wrapping this up. What do you think?
I think so as well. On a serious note, chat, enough jokes aside, is there any other questions you guys have? Last minute questions about the engine switch. Bear in mind that there's like a 40-minute VOD. I'm not including the last 17 minutes because it's mostly just been jovial. 40-minute VOD of us basically talking through pretty much all things. And just to recap for those who are just coming here, real quickly, we're switching from Unity to a different engine. We're leaning on Rust, but we don't quite know. We'll announce more details once we do a little bit more research. We are going to continue working on the combat prototype, and we are going to continue proceeding with the prologue stuff. So all that stuff will still be coming, regardless of the Unity change. It's just when we finally start making the proper switch, that will suck away a lot of development time from the programming side of things. So there's not going to be a lot of progress there. But the combat prototype, like I said again, we're going to continue working towards that. And again, you should really check Robin's streams. You did miss it, Fish. See? I noticed that there's been a huge view bump in the last, like, 5 minutes. Which makes me feel bad, because they always miss everything. Oh, well.
Kamigawa asks, just was wondering why the hate for C++. Well, it's not that I hate C++. I don't know C++. So I then have to ask myself, what makes more sense? Figuring out C++ from scratch for this, or checking out another language. And I've seen a lot of other game developers talk about Rust, and it seems to be a very good like middle ground. Like it's as fast as C++ from what I understand. It's just that it has a different way of doing things. And it also seemingly has a lot less pitfalls than C++. So like maybe C++ would be fine. I'm open to that, but I'd have to look into it more as well. It's not like I'm just completely dismissing it. But I do hear that it's, it can be quite breakneck because you need to know what you're doing.
Godbar donates 50 Donkey Kongs to say, you do? Question mark. We did not even know what one of the two of you are most of the time. What? Only when We are dumping last water.
いよいよ
Somebody translate that, please.
See, he's not dyslexic. He's just Danish, bro. Like this is just
He
this
is
is just what it's
Danish.
like.
Do they talk like that when they speak their native tongue?
Yeah, except it sounds like they've got like porridge in their throat.
Okay. Write the whole game in C sharp. Better yet, Holy C. All right. I don't think there's any more questions. Let's check
No.
Twitch. Nope. And let's check the last one. Oh god. Nope, we only have a bot there promoting religious dogma. Okay.
Well, you got holy bots on Rumble.
Yes, dude, they're like holy bots there, and they're Tucker Carlson bots. That's the two type of
Okay.
bots I have nonstop. Then
That's
the bots that
interesting.
just randomly talk about Trump.
Okay.
It's so weird.
I was not expecting that at all. That's pretty interesting.
They're like, Trump did a
But,
thing. He's follow me. It's like, okay,
Alright.
goodbye, block. It's just weird.
But yeah, if anybody has any further questions, like
Hmm.
I said, if you have any, if you're even if you're interested in game development in general, you want some help or some pointers, or just want to follow along or whatever, feel free to drop me a line on Discord or drop by my YouTube/Twitch channel when I'm streaming, and feel free to ask whatever.
If there's any questions directly pertaining to the stream, you can leave them on the stream, and Robin and I will look through them probably later tomorrow. For those that are watching the VOD viewers, or if you would like, you can go directly to Robin's actual channel. He's linked also directly to the channel homepage if you're too lazy to follow Robin's instructions at the bottom of recommended channels. The one with the pixel arted blonde man. Click on that one, and that'll take you directly to Robin's channel. He streams pretty early in the day. Around this time he'd be streaming, and quite a ways still. So you'll probably catch him around this ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that'll wrap up this stream. We'll see you guys in the next stream, which will be in a few hours. I need to actually work on the game a little bit. And thank you for your very generous donations, guys, and we appreciate your long-term support.
Thank you.